Well, I'm standing in the paddock at the moment on the final day of this first winter testing session. It's been an interesting week so far, that's for sure. And I'm joined right now by Ted Kravitz from the Sky Sports SkyF1 channel. And Ted, let's start off with what the teams could have learnt this week so far. And they have one more day out on the track today. What could they still learn?
It's been a very valuable week for the teams. They've essentially learnt whether their season is going to be a long, hard slog or actually quite successful. They know whether their cars are more or less reliable, which most of them are, and they know whether they've got any terrible handling characteristics, which one or two have, but most are pretty well sorted by now.
And what about the drivers themselves? It's the first time they've been able to give the car a real go out on the track. What will they have learnt? And for the drivers that are going around today, a few tweaks, more demands off their team?
Yeah, now they need to start working on making the car faster. The first few days have been all about systems checks, have been about configuration of the car in various wing settings and making sure that the car on track is doing what the car model says it's doing in the wind tunnel back in the factory. So the drivers now are going to start looking for some speed, and I think we'll see some pretty quick times by the end of today.
We've seen from some teams a lot more laps under their belt than other teams. So who would you say has had a good week so far and who's had a bad week?
I think good week is the Lotus team. Red Bull, as always, they've got a fast car. It's been a good week for them. And McLaren seems to be a good week for Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button. Bad week so far, Force India. One of their drivers couldn't go out yesterday because the test driver crashed it into the gravel. That wasn't good for them. And Toro Rosso have also had a few problems there. And Williams are very slowly learning about their car. But it's essentially a learning process, and they'll catch up.
The buzz around here seems to be that Lotus have a good car this year. They have a real challenger this year. Would that fair to say?
Yeah, the Lotus seems to be generally a very stable car. They admitted they were running low fuel to do the fastest time of the 2012 cars yesterday, but even Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton said whatever fuel they're running, that is a quick car, and they should know because they're following the Lotus on track. They can see how it behaves. But I think also a good day yesterday for Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel. They learned that their cars have a stable platform, not as much downforce as last year because of some of the rule changes, but effectively we should expect to see the same big players in it next year.
And we haven't mentioned Ferrari yet. We're stood by the Ferrari motorhome with the trucks in the background to us. They haven't done as many laps. Alonso only getting out for 67 laps of the circuit yesterday. That's going to be frustrating for him, surely. Yeah,
if it was a good day for Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, a bad day for Fernando Alonso. The car seems not to have pace at the moment, and it's not reliable. They had a hydraulics problem yesterday. That's the two things a team does not want in winter testing. You can be fast and unreliable. To be slow and unreliable at the same time is terrible. So Ferrari have got a lot of work still to do.